Welcome back. Well, Ajax celebrate in London another famous victory, and they take a 1-0 advantage over Tottenham to Amsterdam in 8 days' time. There's the goal scorer, Van der Beek. He scored after 15 minutes of the first half, and their fans will certainly head home this evening and tomorrow very, very happy with the way that match has gone. Didi, what's your verdict? Have Tottenham, they certainly have a chance next week, but would you favour them to get the better of Ajax in Amsterdam?
Well, Bray mentioned in commentary that their away form has been better, Ajax's than their home form, but I just feel they've been outclassed today. I know they didn't have an awful lot of pace in the team without Son, but I still expected a little bit more. I don't think they threatened all game. They didn't create a goal-scoring opportunity where you say they should score. Which you would class a very good goal-scoring opportunity. First half hour, they've been torn apart by Ajax movement and passing. They missed the chance to score the second goal. We see the chance in a minute to maybe put the tie to bed. 1-0, you still got a chance. But on the base of tonight, the difference, the golfing class in a way, between the two teams, I can't see it.
Richard, what about you? Golfing class? Were they outclassed tonight in your view?
Certainly for 35 minutes at the start of the game they were. I don't think they got anywhere near them. Spoke about Wanyama being in the team to try and break things up. He was nowhere near the ball. They kept passing around them, and the movement was too much for them. And just for that 35 minutes alone, I think Ajax deserved to win tonight. As the game went on, you expect Tottenham to have a little bit more control of the ball, but they continued to play that long ball, hoping for a flick on, hoping for a second ball. And I think at this stage of the competition in a Champions League, you need to have players who are confident to get on the ball, to hold on to it and to try and create chances. And tonight Tottenham were too reliant on almost old school tactics of getting it forward quick, getting it wide, trying to get crosses into the box, and they just didn't have the quality in that final third as the game went on.
Yeah, they did, Richie, fire the ball up to the front man a lot, to Llorente a lot, and very rarely did a Tottenham player manage to get in around him and get on the end of a knockdown.
You could see what they were trying to do, and I mean, Llorente was winning balls, but there was no link-up play. There was nothing. There was the quality that an Eriksen or occasionally, less frequently, Dele Alli can produce in attacking areas. That wasn't really visible at all tonight. I wonder whether Pochettino will regret not starting Sissoko. He's missed the last, I think, 3 games, so maybe fitness or his injury was the concern. Maybe they didn't want to risk him, but he made a difference when he came on. But just in a presence in midfield, I mean, they still lacked any cutting edge up front, and they were torn out in the first half hour. Ajax a good value for their 1-0 win in a strong position now. But I think if you're in that Tottenham dressing room now, you think, well, Son is coming back next week. Yeah, this Tottenham side would hit in it. They've better options for it. If they're playing more counter-attacking next week, which they might have to do because they're away from home, he's got the pace and the cleverness to play that style in a way that you can't with Llorente in the team.
Tottenham have won 1 out of their 5 away games in this season's competition. Let's look at the goal, the Ajax goal, Richard. This came after, a quarter of an hour?
Yeah, and it'd been coming. The way they started the game was brilliant. They were right on the front foot from the start, and this is what a good European side can do, and what Tottenham didn't do is they moved the ball and they were patient. They didn't just lob it into the box. They moved it back in. They moved the Tottenham defence around, and they seen the gap, made a good pass, and he took his time. There was no recovering defender on him, and he stuck it away well. But every time Tottenham got into this situation, it was a high ball into the box. Ajax dragged them out. They moved the defenders around, and even with 5 defenders across the box, they still found the gaps, and Trippier, who didn't have a great night, kept them onside.
What about, we spoke beforehand about Pochettino's comments about, which he sort of rode back a bit from, about tiredness, fatigue. Did they look tired this evening? Did they look, it's the end of a long season and the squad is thin-ish because they haven't signed anyone in the last 2 windows?
Well, the squad is thin, and as we said beforehand, the options from the substitutes bench weren't great, whatever way the game went. But I think they lacked like a mental sharpness. When you're on your game and you're seeing things and you're spotting a pass and you have a vision, you have something that's difficult to coach, but when you're on your game, the players I mentioned a moment ago have it. They didn't display it at all tonight. They came nowhere near to looking as good as they can be. So they need to come up with a top performance next week. If they were to repeat this level of performance, you'd imagine Ajax will go through.
Was this their best chance? I think it's their only attempt on target, Dele Alli.
It was. There are two headers in the first half, which I would call half chances at best. He actually does pretty well. He had a terrible night, like so many of his teammates. He's hardly been seen for the 90 minutes. He actually makes good contact. He gets good power on the shot. Unfortunately, it goes straight at the keeper. And I think that's probably the biggest concern moving forward next week. Of course, they got a chance, but the lack of form. Ajax made them look tired today because they just were so confident in possession. The lack of form of Eriksen and Ali, because they need at least a goal next week. And if you have your two most creative or players who can nick a goal from midfield, if they don't fire, then it's very hard to see. Son will make him better, but I think the lack of form of Ali and Eriksen, I think, is a huge concern for them.
We just wonder, looking at next week, how big this Neres effort could be, Richie. Hitting the post. It was a good move.
This was huge. I mean, if he finishes this, it would have been a huge task for Tottenham. Mazraoui, he came on as a substitute in the second half, starts off the move, and Tadic gets the ball and plays it well to Neres. I don't think that's a clean contact in any way, but Lloris is completely flat-footed. He got nowhere near it.
There's been a huge reaction online, I understand, to the Vertonghen incident, and we discussed it a little at half-time, but, people calling for independent medical people to be involved, and we're just going to have a look at this is the incident, first of all, the collision with Alderweireld.
We can see a lot clearly as to what happened. There's a clash of heads and he goes down and he's bleeding and he gets treatment for a long time. He's motionless there, so there's some communication going on. So they may have been checking in with the player all the time. How are you doing? How are you feeling? And a doctor would have seen him, and a medical he's in communication with him there. How this scenario was allowed to come about, like this is a Champions League semi-final. Do you know what I mean? They're not short of medical resources. They're not lacking in information.
I think it's very hard, Rich. I think it's very hard in football. You've got that in rugby, in the NFL, in American football. You take him to the locker room, you do your checks. You've got 50, you've got 40 or 50 people in the squad. Somebody else comes in football. What are you going to do? You have to make a change. Take him to the dressing room. Can he go back on?
But Didi, if he's concussed, it's an injury to your brain.
Yeah, 100%. I think something needs to be done to protect the players. There were incidents in the past where goalkeepers, I think Lloris had good last year. I agree it has to change.
But what is that something now? What are you saying?
No, but it's not that easy.
What needs to be done?
Well, yes, there should be an independent body there or a doctor, but how long does it take to find out that a man is concussed? Because, as I could see it, the player comes out, of course he wants to carry on. The referee comes out, he says, are you okay? Yes, I'm okay. Well, if he says okay, how long does it take to make sure or to find out whether he's concussed or not? I think that's the biggest issue, because in other sports, you've got a lot of substitutes and it's not a flowing game. Football is a flowing game. What are you going to do? So I don't think it's as straightforward as it looks, but something has to be done.
OK, we're right out of time, I'm afraid.